On the Track is a web TV show about cryptozoology, natural history, green issues, and whatever else the team feel like making up as they go along. Enjoy!
What's in this episode, Mr. John?
Well, Hennis, what we have is part 2 of my interview, Richard's my interview with M.K. Davis, about what he thinks happened at Bluff Creek in 1967. That made me cry a bit. Yes, it did that to me too.
I really like the old credits.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of... Hang on, what's happening here?
Hello, I'm Gwen Dibley, the Chelsea-based orang pendek and Scandinavian death skiffle vocalist. I would like to introduce my dear daughter, Helga. Say hello, Helga. Hello, Mayor. Hello, viewing public. My dear daughter, Helga, goes to St. Wettypants School for girls. What have you been up to at St. Wettypants today, Helga? Oh, Mayor, we had a splendid time. We've been reenacting Edmund Cooper's 1974 sci-fi classic, The Death Worms of Kraos.
Well, that's all very well, but I think we better start again. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's John Downs. I'm the director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology, and welcome to another episode of On the Track. As I believe you all know, every Saturday afternoon at 3 for about half an hour, and every Wednesday evening at 6:30 for about half that, we bring you a show that's about cryptozoology and other disciplines, featuring hard science, weird shit, and what was the other word? Oh yes, surreality. What's surreality, you may ask? Well,
I'm George the Fourth, and you're watching a show about cryptozoology co-presented by a talking chicken. What do you mean you don't know what surreality is?
for the first time in a long time, I'm issuing a trigger warning, because this story and some of the images which accompany it could well be disturbing or upsetting for some people. They certainly upset me. And I would also like to say that although I have edited the narrative to make it as watchable as possible, I do apologise. There are some technical parts when there are funny noises. Those are nothing to do with us, and I do apologise for them.
And we're talking about the those excellent. So I call them I think they're called upscaled images. Go back to that. I would go. I got some blow-ups of it right here. All right. Can you see?
Yep.
All right. We tried some others too as well. This is three different rendering. This is the original raw image. This is what he did, but up inside of here is very dim. So what I did was to enhance those, and then that's what you get with the teeth showing. And I was able to kind of bring back some of the overexposed parts, like right in here. You see there's a little more, little better exposure on the original raw image.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to kind of bring them all three together in this one, which is it is an accurate look at a Sasquatch front facial area. Uh, there is some other stuff on it in other parts of the film. I'm gonna move this over here. In other parts of the film, the wind is about 8 to 9 miles per hour at her back, and it lifts the hair up above the ear.
Yes.
And there is a plaited or braid. It's a little got a little herringbone design to it that lands on the cheek. And this particular frame right here is a little further down the line, but it's still right there, but the ear is covered back up. You can see the little herringbone design in the braid right here. It goes up like this, and that's it. And that probably goes around the back of the head. See what I'm talking about there?
Mm-hmm.
Another good indication that it's a human being because it braids. I'll show you a good clip of that. All right, let's see what this one is. Braid walk complete, 70%. Let it populate here just a minute. Okay, right. Just watch this right here. These are filtered images, high contrast images. That's what I'm talking about right there. You see it swing around. And it lands right there on her cheek. See it? And there's the ear right here. You see the little braid. It's a little herringbone pattern right at the lower end of it.
Good Lord.
And that's the unmistakable sign of humanity there. See how it swings around? I rocked it back and forth so you can see it. There it is right there. That's the little herringbone thing. And it lands up on the cheek, and for a split second, the ear is uncovered. But she has quite a bit of long hair, and the hair flops back down over the ear. Well, it's not much doubt in my mind. And if you go back over to here, you'll see that same little thing right there. That's that same little braid. It's kind of laying down right there. The other hair is falling back over the ear. And she obviously didn't do it. She has a companion or somebody that knows how to braid hair, living with her. So the implications are great.
The Russian almasty is supposed to plait the hair of the manes of horses at night. It's supposed to come into barns and plait the manes of horses.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I hear that. And I believe it's probably true.
Richard's been to Russia twice looking for the almasty.
This is just a collage I have going from the raw image and the steps at enhancement, and then there's the braid. See how it's just kind of curving down over the cheek? There it is right there. And then I just kind of drew in the herringbone patterns as I saw them. This is what I see is that if I don't know exactly how far or how deep these eradication programs are there in Northern California and Southern Oregon, but big corporations are very powerful and they just do what they want to do. And including things like this. I don't know. To me, it just seems like a travesty. Back in the 1840s, they used these very same techniques to eradicate Native Americans. Whenever they struck gold in that area, they brought in people that had a coffer. The state had maintained a coffer of $3 million that they paid bounties for Native American scalps. And people would go in there with dogs and horses the same way as they went in after this person, and use the same methods and same results. They're still in there. There's still some in there. But that day, it was more than a day. It was a protracted event, but they got 5 out of 7, according to the old bear hunt. So that's pretty good percentage. So what?
Horrific.
Yeah, it's not a good story. It's not a good story. I would rather hear the brave cowboys. You know, that's an easier story on the ears. And she just walked away, and there was nothing, no harm done. But it's just simply not true.
Oh,
well, the old girl is she was one of those that didn't make it. So you're looking at a ghost.
that is absolutely horrific.
You never, ever had the opportunity, no one has, to look directly into the eyes of a Sasquatch in a photograph. My goodness.
I think
go ahead.
So I was just going to say, I think that photograph comes pretty close.
It does. You can kind of see, you can kind of read her face, you know? It's a sad thing.
She is so obviously human, of some sort of human.
Yeah, you're right. She's a homo something.
I have a friend called Jackie who saw 2 of these things cross the road in front of her car, and she was down an old logging road in Northern California, and she got within 15 feet of them, and her reconstruction of them looks very like that.
That's such a rare thing.
She said, she said there were 2 males, an adult one and a sub-adult one, and she had a reconstruction done, and it looks very like that. And she said they look much more human than ape.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see why people say that they couldn't pull the trigger because they look like a person. You know, they when they got a good look at them. That's what you see here.
Killing that is murder.
Well, the only thing about that is that there's no trail. There's no paperwork trail. There's no one officially missing. There's no, they don't have a social security number. They don't have a birth certificate. It's people would argue all day long. If you could find its remains, that would be you could make a better argument. You're not supposed to shoot another person, even if they don't have a birth certificate. It's morally wrong. If you felt threatened, if you felt like they were going to kill you or something. That's why Miss Patterson told me, even if they shot it in the back, because she knew that they weren't threatening them, that they were going the other way.
Is there anybody else apart from Bob Gimlin who's still alive who was there on that day?
I think there's a guy. There were people there. Like I said, the tracking dog reveals that. There was the Bigfoot researcher John Green was there. Jim McLaren was there. Renee DeHinden was there. As a matter of fact, Renee DeHinden took some of the tracking dog video with his camera. All these people are associated with forestry services or the schools that have forestry service educational programs. The list goes on and on. It's going to be either Humboldt State College or either the Forestry Service. The United States Forestry Service. In the case of Rene DeHinden, he was a 20-year officer with the Canadian Forestry Service. You see what I mean? That they're not who they say they are. He says that I abandoned my family to hunt for Bigfoot, and I'm living on a skeet range, and I'm living off the money I get from gathering lead from skeet shots. And then you read Ivan Sanderson's interview, and he says that Rene DeHinden was a 20-year officer with the Canadian Forestry Service. And Ivan Sanderson worked for the OSS during World War II. He's not a person to just tell a story. So it all makes sense to me that there was a program going on. That's why they kept calling these men. As soon as they got back to Canada the next morning at 7:00, they got a phone call from out of Bluff Creek on one of those patch through truck phones. And it said, "What you're looking for is here." And when they went back, that bloody poo with the hide in it is what they were looking for. They wanted something they could train the dog or get the dog to run this particular scent. And they all had heavy connections with the logging companies.
In that case, why did Rene DeHinden write about them though, and try and get people to believe in them? Shouldn't he have been doing the exact opposite?
But Rene DeHinden was pro-kill. And after this happened here, he became no-kill. But he said that he wouldn't get out of bed for less than $1 million. and he's on film out of bed. So I don't know what kind of money it amounted to, but I'm sure that must have amounted to something because they wouldn't have all been out there. Jim McLaren, Humboldt State University, forestry service program. And there's a lot, the list gets even longer amongst Bigfooters. And all these people, anytime anybody gets close to discovery or uncovering something, these guys jump on them with both feet, and they try to use all kinds of dissuasion, and they try to use I don't know, just they all come from the same stock, from the same place. Logging companies that, for instance, there right now in Bluff Creek, there's a big old long row of game cams along the creek that are being maintained by two guys. One that works for a logging company, the other who works for the U.S. Forestry Service. And they run those things. And it's not even legal to do so in a U.S. forest. But there they are, and I got pictures of them. I even got pictures from them, from out of the game cam.
Have any of those game cams picked up Sasquatch?
That's why somebody sent me these pictures from this one, because something was messing with the game cam and dangling skunk cabbage in front of the lens, just like making a mockery of the camera. They wanted me to look at it to see if I could tell if it might be a Sasquatch doing it, which it probably was. They have that temperament. The Sasquatches do. They don't. Anger is not what they're known for. They're known for trickery. You know, they mess with you, like messing with Sasquatch. And that's what they're known for. And that's what it was doing. You know, it was dangling that thing right down in front of the lens. Right there in Bluff Creek where I've been. But it's they'll fight you tooth and nail if you come anywhere near a discovery, or if they think you even might be. It's an uphill climb, because you're going against not just a very rare subject, hard to find, but you're also going up against people that don't want you to find it either.
Have you had problems with them? Have they done stuff to you?
They've done stuff to me? Oh yeah, all the time. With this lady's photos, oh, they've tried all kinds of stuff there. They put some stuff up on YouTube, and YouTube made them take it down because it was slander. You know, it's just, you know, you think that somebody would be glad to see something like this, you know, but nope. You can look them up. You can look them up. One of the guys, the geologist he says that he knows where the Patterson film was shot, and he takes you as far away from it as you can. It's an uphill battle.
What about the copyright of these images you've shown us?
Copyrights? I can tell you what my thoughts are on them. This film was shot in 1967. The copyright laws at that time required an insignia, a copyright insignia at the bottom of the picture, and the name of the person copyrighted to. It wasn't copyrighted until 1980. The copyright laws changed in 1978. They changed to where any picture you take, it becomes automatically copyrighted to the taker of the picture. But this film did not fall under that. It fell under the pre-78 copyright laws. It was shown at least 100 times without a copyright insignia. Publicly, it was shown in public venues between the different picture shows at the theater. It was shown. It was shown in live events. The real fact of the matter is it's not copyrighted.
So it's okay for us to show these while we're talking when we're showing our conversation with you.
Well, that's up to you, but it can't be copyrighted. You can't copyright something that's already gone into public domain.
Yes, I would have agreed with you.
Yeah, it was already in public domain. If they got a judge to do it, they just fooled him. You know, they probably said, well, we took this yesterday. It was already in public domain. Frame 352 was one that they released to the newspaper like a week after the filming. And of course, that immediately went into public domain. That was the one that was so clear. That showed you what that they had done to it, all the different. But they're all, honest to goodness truth is they're all public domain. And I'm not the only one that knows that.
Have these enhanced pictures gone public?
These?
Yeah.
I put them on my, only thing I've done publicly is put them on my WordPress site. And, it just gets a limited amount of traffic.
Is it okay with you if we show them?
I don't mind at all. I think the whole world needs to see it. The whole world needs to see them. And then they can make an educated decision in their own minds about the nature of a Sasquatch. It's all over about whether they exist. That's over. It's done deal. There's no question about it. The nature of them, what they are, is you can see it in the facial shot here. It just goes without saying. We're made to recognize other humans. It's when we see another human, we don't wonder if it's a human.
No, you can see the light of intelligence in its eyes.
Absolutely. It's not a gorilla, which is that it only makes sense. There's not been any gorilla remains found anywhere in North America, fossilized or otherwise. There's been, these things have been found. Their fossilized skulls have been found. And, they just, what they didn't recognize was that they weren't all gone. Homo naledi It's a fossils that they found deep down in a cave system, the Rising Star Cave system in South Africa. They go in there, and it's so far down in there that only cave spelunkers could go down in there, and they had to be small. I think they found 15 individuals, and they were a diminutive size, but they were absolutely human. But what they had was cupped hands, and that distinguished them from modern man. And also, I think they had cupped front teeth, what you call a shovel tooth. But Patty, this particular one you see here, I've got great pictures of it, has cupped hands. So the evidence just piles up that this is something from back yonder.
Well, we know Homo floresiensis and Homo lutzenensis lived until at least 50,000 years ago, which is the same time as modern man.
So when you see this person's face, you're looking back in time, but with an overlap.
Mm.
With an overlap. And instead of appreciating that, they're blowing them away down there because they're in the way of some cash. That's my perspective.
Why do you think that in the footage, why is she walking away so slowly? Why isn't she running? Because these things can move like greased lightning.
I don't know about that. I really don't know, because you see in the first part of the movie is in sections. I call walk sequences. The first one, she's walking straight away toward the wood line. And the second one, she's out in the open walking upstream. And there's no in between. It just jumps from one to the other. It's an edit. Okay. The first one, she's kicking her leg straight back with her bottom of her feet pointing straight at the camera. And that, my friend, is a running gait. We do that when we run. We're not walking. We don't do that walking. But when we run, the bottom of our feet stick straight back. And that's what she's doing. So she's running. Now you can make your judgments there as to how fast she's running. It's not that fast. She's got so much mass that her momentum carries her over the fulcrum of her step. So she doesn't have to have a large forward thrust to do that like a lighter person would. But she still, it's her run. She left there with running, at least at the second half of that first walk sequence. I'll show you. Hold on. There you go. Now this is false color, but you see that foot? See, it's straight back at the camera.
You can see the heels off the ground, can't you?
Right. Everything is, you only do that when you run. And also another thing you do when you run is your footprints line up. They line up one behind the other instead of off to the side. So when you see Bigfoot, people find Bigfoot prints, the trackway, and they're right in line with each other. It's probably running, but you got to, with the understanding that a Bigfoot running is not necessarily a world-class sprinter. It's just a massive follow through on it. It carries so much mass, you don't have to go hard and fast. All it's got to do is move forward, and it'll carry right over that fulcrum, especially with the knees bent. That's her run. Now let me see if I can find that cupped hand. In doing so, there it is right there. See the cupped hands?
Yeah.
See right there?
Yeah.
It's just like Homo naledi. Just exactly like it. That's a trait of an ancient human, but it's not dead.
Well, my friend, we're going to tell you a story, and we're going to tell her story. Well, that's the end of M.K. Davis's story, and I don't know about you, but I find it a remarkably cogent one, and furthermore, one which makes sense quite a bit more than many of the accepted narratives do. But I'll tell you what, I find it massively moving. And it ties in with a lot of what I know, not just about cryptozoology, not just about hominology, but about the way that big business and governments work. You'll probably ask why I beeped in a few places. They were names. Why did I beep them? Well, I didn't want to name individual people and individual companies because A, I can't afford a lawyer of any caliber at all to protect me, and B, what sort of an idiot do you take me for? Am I really going to piss off people either in the forestry services or in the logging industry who are likely to be big, burly lumberjack types with large axes? The chances of me going to Southern California or Northern California or anywhere in California in any time soon are very, very low indeed. But air flights are not very expensive, and I would hate to have somebody knock on the door and me shout, "Come in!" And they come in and it's a big burly guy with red hair, a big beard and an axe over his shoulder. Not gonna happen, mate. Not gonna happen. You'll also notice that I edited it far less than I usually edit narratives. That is because I come from a religious family and I come from an army family, and I have seen military funerals, and there was something about the way that M.K. Davis told his story that sounded and felt like a memorial service or a military funeral. So I left the gaps in, because the gaps I thought were awe-inspiring in the very real sense of the word. And I thought that in order to respect the memory of all the Sasquatches who, according to M.K. Davis's hypothesis, have been slaughtered in that part of California over the years, I was going to keep the bits that sounded respectful and awesome in. But now,
If you want to support us and help us make more content like these, please press like, subscribe, follow our Facebook page and check out our Patreon.
and as the ghost of Joe Strummer, who's an ever more regular visitor to my little studio, asks me to remind you all, always press the notification bell, otherwise you'll never find out when the next show's going to be. And that would be an awful pity, wouldn't it? And that's about it for this episode. First of all, I want to apologise to Tony Edwards, because he was the guy who first pointed me in the right direction for M.K. Davis, and whose name I massively embarrassingly forgot last week. So thank you very much, Tony, for your help, because if it wasn't for you, this last 2 episodes wouldn't have happened. I want to say a big thank you to my guests this week, who've been Richard Freeman and, of course, M.K. Davis. We're going to return to more happier subjects next week, or at least I hope we are. But what are they going to be, you may ask? Well, to be quite honest, I'm not sure yet. I've got a whole string of things that we might do. And I think it's quite likely that my next subject is going to be weird, unextinct butterflies and the fairy realm. But on the other hand, it might not be. So, like I said, I'm going to be back next Saturday, and before that I'll be back on Wednesday. What am I talking about on Wednesday? I've got no idea because I haven't done it yet. So I'm being really, really, really unhelpful to all of you. But I tell you who I will be being helpful to, Mr. McCrinnan. I'm going to be back next Saturday, as I say, Mr. McCrinnan. And if you're going to be sitting around watching it and joining in the live chat and pressing the notification button like dear old Joe Strummer told you to do, I'll be seeing you.